Alright guys, and now we're back with some news pertaining to the Immortal Empires. Creative Assembly just put out a blog post today which gives you a little bit of a look into what's going to be in the Immortal Empires, some new features, and also gives us a glimpse into the time frame of when it's going to be released. So we're going to look at this bad boy, cut right through the fat, get straight to the flavor, and have some fun. So thank you all for joining, and let's see what lies within. So a little bit of fluff here, all fun, talking about how important and big it is. Sounds great, but here's a key point. For all of you guys looking to get your hands on the Immortal Empires, we're aiming to roll out the beta version of this game in August. So hopefully it'll be relatively soon. Obviously, the Immortal Empires is going to be previewed even earlier than that. On July 9th and 10th, we're going to be having the grand finals of our Summer Championship multiplayer tournament in the Immortal Empires. So obviously it's not going to be giving us any look into campaign, but we will be getting to see some of these factions in multiplayer, which should be quite a bit of fun. So let's scroll down, take a look at some of the bullet points here. Immortal Empires is much more than the sum of each game's content smashed together into a larger map. Rather, the new game mode offers a variety of new features and approaches to the combined battlefield. So obviously 86 lords, I mean, that's a lot for sure. That's pretty serious. Be'lakor is also going to be a lord with his own faction. I know there was a mod that already did that, but I'm quite eager to see what he's going to be like as his own faction. It dedicated factions for a number of older legendary lords, including Grombrindal, Helmengorst, and Volkmar the Grim. So dedicated factions. Okay, so they have their own sub-faction now. Because obviously in the previous Warhammer titles, you had Volkmar and he just kind of started in Reichland. So it kind of makes me think that maybe they'll have new start positions. And yeah, the next line right there says, new starting locations for 29 of the older legendary lords. And looking at some of these bad boys right here, I can totally see them, putting Volkmar the Grim somewhere else, like on kind of a crusade style thing. Maybe he goes down to the south. Who knows? There's lots of cool potential there, but yeah, certainly great. I mean, that's going to be huge because the start position really does dictate the game experience to a large extent, right? You start in Reichland as Karl Franz. You're going to be fighting vampire counts to the east, greenskins to the south, and you have now, of course, even more to the north, right? You have the Chaos Invasion, you have Kislev to kind of work with and become an ally with and get outposts and mix and match units. A lot of potential for that. So if they're going to be switching up the start locations of 29 of these 86 lords, those are just brand new campaign experiences in many ways. So I think that is a really, really good change for sure. Now, a new sea lane feature, which allows you to move your armies between distant lands and continents from one side of the map to the other without leapfrogging them all the way across the map. That is actually huge. That is really fun because one of the most exciting experiences I've had in campaign is when you have a big grand campaign and you arrive in new lands that are really foreign to your faction start position. So I had a Karl Franz campaign way back in the day, and I went all the way over to Lustria, and I was over in Lustria battling Skaven and Lizardmen, and this was with Karl Franz, not talking about Marcus Wolfhard, and I thought that was really fun. So whatever the sea lane feature is, I suppose there's probably like some way that you can teleport to different like seaports across the old world. And I think that's really fun. I think that'll be really cool for head-to-head campaigns as well. But yeah, as it pertains to head-to-head campaigns, as cool as they are, I mean, two-player campaigns are great. Usually if you have a friend who you don't have much lag with, it's a really fun experience. But anything beyond that, it just tends to get a little bit laggy. I really, really hope we can get dedicated servers someday or some way to kind of minimize some of the lag, right? For example, I play Age of Empires with a lot of people in Europe and all over the world, really. And I almost never have any lag in that game because I would assume they have some sort of a server structure. But yeah, hopefully that can be something we can do here. New dynamic endgame scenarios. So randomized mid to late game challenges we're introducing to challenge the late game steamroll, which is good. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't play campaign. Usually after turn, 50 or 60, if you really are playing efficiently and min-maxing, you're just going to be in steamroll mode. You're going to be running over everyone, and it kind of feels a little bit redundant, like you're playing whack-a-mole, just chasing down all these factions. But where the player is so powerful that there's little to no challenge left and no reason to complete the campaign. Yeah, that's like 90% of my campaigns. So look at this. Think Greenskin Invasion or Resurgences of the Undead. So it's probably just going to be like a copy pasta of the Chaos Invasion. So the Chaos Invasion, when it does happen in an Empire campaign, it does add a degree of difficulty, right? You get all these big stacks of, heavy-duty Chaos armies coming down. And if they added, like, let's say you're playing as, once again, I'll use Karl Franz as an example. You're playing as Reichland, and suddenly, you thought you had defeated Sylvania, but then there's like a huge campaign event that kicks in, and there's like a huge undead horde, like 8 armies that just start rolling from the east towards your capital. That would be super fun, and I think very thematic. So, I mean, probably just going to be something like that, like a big Wa appearing. The undead come back after you've banished them and raised from the graves. So there's some evil necromancer, whatever. You get the idea. So I do like that. I think that's going to be good. But again, it could be one of those things that like might be annoying actually, but I don't know. We'll see. I have some hope in it. Let's see. So most players don't end up finishing campaigns, and we want to give them better reasons. and a greater level of satisfaction for doing so. As such, we've simplified the victory conditions into more meaningful objectives while avoiding any arbitrary playstyle requirements. Okay, so more of a sandbox experience. I would imagine, so you have very complex objectives for each faction. You have like the long victory conditions, which are pretty dense. You have to get stuff all over the old world, which nobody ever really finishes those unless it's really kind of like I don't know. I'm trying to think of an anecdote for that, but really it's just not like a super common thing. But if they simplify the victory conditions where it's just something like, okay, you just like take 60 bases or whatever, something like that, where it's very simple, I think that'd be cool because you can kind of play sandbox. I could use the new sea lane feature to go all the way over to Lustria and expand over there, and then I could win by doing that. And I'm not like, not every time I don't have to go capture Hell Pit, I don't have to go capture this. I can create my own experience. And I would wager that is probably what that's going to be. It's going to be something along the lines of like, okay, it's just like they have the old school victory requirement, they have the old school long one, and then they have a simplified one where it's just like, take 50 bases, take 50 settlements and win. That would be awesome. I'd like that. It'd be fun. And then it's like a build-a-bear. It's like build your own campaign, which is good. So players will now have new tools for spreading or reducing corruption through more active usage of their armies. Small amounts of natural reduction will also be available to uncorrupted factions. Okay. Yeah, I mean, corruption's going to be a bigger thing with Chaos, so sounds good. So 8-player multiplayer campaigns. As a bonus, only the host of Immortal Empires campaign needs to own all 3 games. Friends who own Warhammer 3 will be able to join the campaign through their legendary lord choices. Okay, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But like the thing is, nobody like 8-player campaigns just aren't good. It's too laggy, takes too long, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame. It's such a cool feature. You know, it's such a cool feature. I had so much fun in Civilization 5 playing these like campaigns with 4 or 5 or 6 of my friends, and it was an absolute blast, right? Was it that many people? I can't remember how many I used to play with, but it was a handful. But again, the lag is just such a big issue. I really hope that's something they can address. But that's still kind of cool. If I had a friend I was getting into the game and it was something like, he only owned game 3 and I could be playing the old factions with him, whatever. That's kind of cool. So scrolling down, you can see there's a little bit of an explanation of why they're calling it a beta. Essentially, they're saying that, it's just it's a work in progress. Let's go ahead and read this here. When Immortal Empires arrives this August, you'll notice it initially appears as the beta tag until such time we feel it no longer applies. When we first mentioned this earlier this year, we noted some of the concerns being raised within the community about the decision. So just scrolling down, yeah, they have a whole kind of bit about this, talking about how it's something that it's a lot more work than we perhaps think, saying that, there's a lot of code and mechanics being kind of mashed together, and it's something that was very, very dense in terms of workload. So that's basically what the rest of the article talks about. So in short, Immortal Empires isn't a port of content from one game to another. It's a mountain of phenomenally change-sensitive technical work. So here are a few examples of what is being done as we speak. So lighting improvements, achieving parity across details such as UI, character models, VFX, all that stuff, and corruption as well. So that is it. So, scrolling down here, what will happen when Immortal Empires comes in August? At present, our aim is for them to be fully content complete in terms of available races. So that means that there's not going to be like, oh, well, Wood Elves aren't going to be there right away. We're still working on them. Essentially, they're saying that we're going to be getting all the goodies as soon as it launches. I'm sure there'll still be some bugs and things like that. But again, that's the rationale for still calling it a beta, right? And let's go ahead and read down here. Yeah, talking about benefiting from revamp, and they're saying especially Helman Gorst. Now, Gorst is just such a meme, man. It's like there's such a dense history of cool Warhammer characters, especially with the vampires, and then you just get Helman Gorst rolling up, and he's getting like a big revamp here. I've always found that to be really funny. But hey, you got to have memes. The memes are what makes things exciting, right? So the moment the Immortal Empires beta goes live, its life truly begins. In years to come, so for all of you guys making those jokes about them discontinuing support, it would appear that's not going to be the case according to this. We can hope. We'll be continuing honing and improving it, adding new features, improving existing ones, and introducing new content. Hopefully the Chaos Dwarves will come soon. But yeah, that's more or less it. There's still more fluff in the article if you guys want to read about some of their explanations of playtesting and porting and all the difficulty. You guys can check out the blog, but we've hit most of the important points. Really, you could see all the details here about the new Sea Lane features, legendary Lord start positions for 29 of the Lords, which I think is really good, and that really is kind of the big piece of the pie. Nonetheless, thank you guys for joining. Again, I'll be hitting this pretty hard as soon as we can. I have a lot of great plans for when the Immortal Empires comes out, so I'll give you guys a quick rundown of that. One of the major plans I have is having a Winner Stays On series. So once a week, sometimes during the week most likely, I'll have a best of 7 stream between 2 of the top players on the leaderboards, and whoever wins will stay on, and there's going to be like a bounty system to take that person down. So the longer someone stays on, the bigger a prize there is to take them down and also for them if they win. So it's going to be fun. So we'll have a bounty system. That's going to be great. Another thing I really want to work on is like a world championship. So we're having the summer and the winter championships, and it's certainly great, but I think we really need like a huge, epic, large-scale tournament to kick this off, and that will probably be some sort of a world championship. So I'm going to be, working with a bunch of other folks on that, and we'll make it happen. It's going to be great. We'll use Total Tavern. We'll have huge qualifiers. It's going to be just popping off. It's going to be super fun. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, my friends, appreciate you all. We'll see you on the other side. And Mortal Empire is coming trademark soon. Hopefully soon. We'll see. Hopefully first week of August. Let's not get too excited here, but hopefully that'll be it. All right, guys, take care and see you next time.